There's a full reel. This one? That'd be great. Okay, can we have mouth closed, eyes up here, please? Can I hear a representative from one of the groups share what graph card you matched equation C with? Tamia?
We match equation C with graph 4.
Graph 4.
And we know that because the coefficient is 2, which is the amplitude. The period is 2x, and to find the period, it's 2 pi over b, and b is 2. So it's 2 pi over b, which is also pi. And the graph starts over at pi. Yeah, full cycle.
All right, so I heard Tamia spit a lot of knowledge. Cycle, period, amplitude, restart. Can I have a volunteer from a different group talk through what Tamia just said? Okay, Jaylene, you want to try it?
Yeah, so basically when you look at the equation, you basically look at the numbers. So we know that from in class that sine, it starts at 0.
Sine starts at 0. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Sine starts at,
So that basically like eliminates your other choices since you know that sine starts at 0. And then you look at the coefficient, and it's 2, which that coefficient also represents the amplitude. So it shows the highest point from the x-axis.
Okay.
And then the 2x is the period, the 2. And then when she does the period, you do the 2 pi over b, because that's the equation. And then the b, 2 represents the b, so when you plug it in, you do 2 pi over 2. And since you're dividing 2 over 2, that cancels out and you get basically a 1, which is pi.
Cool. Okay, I heard Jaylene say something interesting about the graph starting at 0. Okay, and so we have, these are like our parent functions. These are the ones we've been working with. We're super familiar with them. And so Jaylene's saying that sine starts at 0. But what I didn't put on these cards, which I totally should have, but I put on these posters, is that there are these arrows. Okay, these arrows show that the graph keeps going on and on forever.
Okay.
So if we're saying like something starts at 0, I think it's like sort of not discussing how there's a continuous domain. So Akira, did you have your hand raised? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, my group said that it doesn't necessarily have to start at 0, but at one point the y-intercept has to be 0.
Okay, so the y-intercept here, for which one? Can you say it one more time?
For sine.
For sine.
Has to reach 0 at one point.
Okay, so in this one, in the parent function, is at 0.
Yeah.
What about for cosine?
The y-intercept has to meet at 1.
Okay, great. So we're going to challenge that thought with some of the other cards, that like what has to be, because we're going to look at lots of different equations and lots of different graphs. So can I have a volunteer read aloud our group work directions? Thank you so much. Miguelina? Yeah.
Okay. Continue to work in groups of 4 to match the remaining equations and graphs. Example of accountable talk. Why do you think those two are a match? Where is the midline of the graph? What is the amplitude of the graph? What is the period of the graph? And what impact does the negative sign have on the graph?
Awesome. So those are examples of, but not limited to, what I should hear you guys saying as I circulate. Okay, so I bet this is going to take us about 6 minutes. But we'll see how it goes, and I'm going to come circulate if you guys have any questions. You're matching the equation card with the graph cards.
What happened?
So that was wrong.
Oh.
But I just heard you say that was wrong. What was wrong? The
I
math?
thought it was this one, but that one.
Okay.
But I thought it was not that one because isn't it when it like, see how this has multiple cycles and it goes like over the midline? Like, wouldn't there be like an adding of another number?
Oh, like right, like where's a card that has that? That has a addition or subtraction.
That one.
that one.
Wouldn't it be like that?
To match which one?
Like one like this.
This one's this, because I said so.
Why is that? Because you said so?
Yeah.
That doesn't convince me. Why does this one go with this one?
Because it's negative cos, so it's
And it doesn't start.
Okay, so we're talking about starting at 0 or not, and then maybe what were you saying about this one and this one?
the cycle, there are like multiple cycles. Like you said, when you add the number at the end, like says how many times it shifts.
Oh, no. So it shifts. Does this impact its period, or if it's up or shifted up or down?
Up or down. So okay, I got it.
So then why is C4?
C and 4. You guys agree or disagree?
Because it is.
You think it's this one? What do you guys think?
The amplitude right here is a 2.
About
and
these
the period
guys.
Here is 2. And instead of just one pi, this is one cycle, so it's 2 cycles.
How come?
See how
Because
down
if
like
you do
for physics, you relate from crust and top. It's one
2
wave.
pi over
One
2,
wave
that's
is one
only 2
pi.
pi.
Okay.
And then
And then there's 2 periods.
So what happens from here to pi?
So if you want to take out this 2, you would just be looking at
Say it again.
what is the midpoint of 2 be 1?
Midpoint of 2 is 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. I agree. How does that impact this graph?
Yeah, period is where it ends. Because you see, this is where
So what does a period mean?
usually 1. And this is 2
Like when
pi.
you describe a period, it's how long what?
Oh, something passes and then it'll go back.
Yeah, so this is actually like,
I think
is this the complete cycle or is it something else going on?
That's the
Yeah, so it's, if we went like, what if I kept going like, this would be like, ba-dum, 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 if that was the pattern. But it looks to me like it keeps going down and come back up. So I'm thinking this might not be a full period.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be 4.
I agree with their match, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you have to work so bad.
I have it, it's up on People Path.
So that'll be 4. Okay, so
I really like how Lisette is using her worksheets from class from last week. What's up?
So I just want to clarify again. So for this part right here, it's the period straight, so it's 2 pi over 3.
So can we talk about what this 3 is?
And then the part of the period.
It impacts the period. What does 3 have to do with the period?
Period. So what does the period do?
So what is this 3? Sometimes we call 3 the frequency. Okay?
How many times it happens?
So like, yeah, like frequency. So this guy, I think that the sine graph is clearer because it kind of goes, this is a full period. How long does it take for this graph to go a full period? 2 pi. If you put a 3 in here instead, what impact would that have on the period?
it had the amplitude of 2. It had
It would go again like 3 more times, no? Like 2 more times?
Within the same.
It was in the same, yeah. Distance? Yeah. Okay.
I would love to hear from different groups about the matches that they made from the graph. So I just want to hear one match that a group made, and then they can call on another group. Can I have a volunteer? I threw my pen. A volunteer share one match that they made. Yeah, George?
Confidence. 12 matches with E.
And how did you get that?
Okay. So the amplitude. Okay, the equation is y equals 2 cosine 3x.
Uh-huh.
All right. So the coefficient is 2. That's the amplitude. So on the graph there, it goes up from 0. That's the midline.
Okay.
It goes up to 2. So that's the amplitude. So that's the part that matches. And also, the period is 3, so that would be 2 pi over 3, and 2 divided by 3 equals somewhere in between.
So what's 2/3?
They're just like
0.66.
0.6.
0.66666. Yeah, totally.
Repeated.
So that's like between half and 1.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that it takes and it starts again.
Yeah.
Okay? Something I'm hearing a little bit as I walk around is that the period is, and then you give me the B. Can someone just clarify the relationship between this number and the period? Yeah, Stephanie?
Oh, you said that the B is like the frequency, so it's like how many times
the graph starts, or like how many times the graph starts again in the period of 2 pi.
Okay, so this frequency, raise your hand if you heard of this from your physics class. Higher, 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 higher. Great, I hope this is all people who are in physics class.